Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I am Asaph Adonai, and welcome to another edition of Asaph Cafe. Asaph Cafe is a show where every week I invite a guest, and I just play the piano while we talk. And our guest for this second season of our show is Mr. John Kramer. He's been on a show before.
Yes.
You can look right into that camera and say hi. And I'll start off with my theme song, the traditional Burt Bacharach, "This Guy's in Love with You." That is such a beautiful song.
Yeah, I think it fits well with your demeanor. I mean, you do exude friendliness. You know, you do make people feel at home. So I mean,
Well,
it's
thank
not
you.
that
That's
big
very
of a
kind.
stretch for that to be your theme song.
Perhaps one day I'll get on a famous talk show and the band will be playing that in the background as I walk out. Who knows? So, how have you been?
I've been all right. How about you? How you been doing?
Just fine, just fine. How was your Christmas holiday?
Uneventful.
Okay. And your New Year's is okay too?
Well, except I'm getting a year older. I don't know if I like that anymore.
I think, well, we're all
When
getting
we're
a year
young, they're
older.
exciting, you know, they're filled with promise. Now, you know, it's just impending doom.
Well, we're all getting older, you know?
Well, as Ringo said, you know, the alternative is bleak.
Yep. The theme to the movie The Titanic. It's
You know,
beautiful.
I read a book. It was the one of the survivors' accounts by Colonel Gracie.
Of the actual Titanic?
Yeah. At the library yesterday. He was thrown into the ocean, of course, and he was able to survive, and he was picked up by the Carpathia. But he died as a result of that a year later.
Really?
Yeah, from being in the cold, so I could never really totally recover from it.
Sorry to hear that.
Well, shows you how far we've come in the sense of, I mean, it says a lot. He lived in upstate New York. He probably couldn't keep the house warm enough to the point where he, and the right medicines and everything, he was able to overcome it. I don't know, you know, you don't hear people necessarily, at least I don't hear it that often, people dying from exposure a year after they've been out in the elements.
He must have had some other health issues too, I would
I
think.
don't know, it could have been age.
Yeah, how old was he?
They didn't really say. He didn't say in the book, it was written by him.
Okay.
So,
Well, I'm sorry to hear that about him. This is still a beautiful melody. Theme to the Titanic.
One of the more interesting articles I read about that movie was someone drew the analogy that the United States is a lot like the Titanic, where partying, not partnering, but partying and living in this closed universe of the United States of America, where for a long time we've been virtually, except economically and trade-wise, been unaffected by the rest of the world, been dominant in world culture, and we're just partying along, and we don't realize we've hit the iceberg and we're sinking.
Oh yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah.
And
like our culture, yeah, that would make sense. Culture and just the way we live here.
Yep. And with this economy, this economic debacle that we had, and we just don't realize the severity of things.
Yeah.
Kind of got our eyes closed to things. But
I think people just they just live for the moment or for today. I think they don't think about the future or tomorrow or anything like that.
Well, it's hard to do when your mind is constantly absorbing these 30-second blips of information that are funneled to you through either television or the computer. Everything is in the now, in the sense of how people... Entertainment used to be something you did after work. Now, entertainment has become part of the workplace.
I see.
Consequently, I think we're kind of in a dream state.
Yeah, I see. That song?
No.
Saturday night is the loneliest night in the week. Maybe that fits in a little bit with what we're talking about. I don't know.
Your weekends have been tough, though, huh?
Well, actually, Sinatra made that song famous Frank Sinatra in 1939 with the Harry James Orchestra. There's a clip of him as a very young man singing that, Sinatra singing that. So.
And where'd you get the watch?
Oh, I call this my Liberace watch. It's not real, obviously, but it looks like something a piano player would wear. See the...
Liberace style piano player.
Yeah, well, I was playing at the mall for the holiday last December, and this lady gave me this big tip, and I was able to get it. So I thought I just wanted to thank her for that. It looks fancy. You probably can't see it on camera, obviously, but it just looks like something a Liberace style piano player would wear, so I decided to get it.
Okay.
Anyway.
Well, I didn't know if it was a gift or what.
Oh, I don't mind sharing. It's just a watch. It's not real. If the bad guys were going to grab this, they're not going to get it.
It tells time, doesn't it?
Well, yeah, it does. That's about all it does.
Well, then it's real.
It's a real watch, but the little diamond-y looking, it's not real, so...
Well, anyway. I didn't think it was.
Oh, no.
I hate to bust your bubble. But I didn't think you had $100,000 watch on it.
Even if I did have $100,000, I could think of much better things to buy than a watch.
Yeah, food. Coffee for the show. We do have coffee today. I had a helper. Thank you, MCAT.
Yeah, thank you, Kat.
So we were talking about river songs earlier.
Yeah.
Okay. And the river, what does the river mean to you? You know, if you were to think of it poetically or...
I think of like in New Orleans with the steamboat kind of ships going across while you're enjoying
Well, you're thinking
the
of the
scenery.
Mississippi.
Yeah,
River, right?
that's what I think of. I don't know if that's what you're referring to. I think this song is appropriate for that scene. Stephen Foster, I think.
Sounds like Meet Me in St. Louis. Meet Me at the fair.
Yeah, it's called In the Good Old Summertime.
Yeah.
You know, Stephen Foster was a famous composer that wrote a lot of those songs.
Right, yeah.
Kind of like what we're talking about.
But did Rodgers and Hammerstein call out that for that musical?
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah,
I think they did. Stephen Foster did songs like, I'm sorry. You know, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Just all those delightful little songs that you could imagine yourself out in the Mississippi or something, you know. And he did this song here too. Beautiful Dreamer.
Right.
Something like that.
Yeah. Harkens back to a more agrarian United States.
Yeah, a simpler time.
Yeah.
There you go, Beautiful Dreamer. But all those songs that Stephen Foster did kind of reminds you of being out on the Mississippi. You know, we're talking about river songs and
Well,
stuff.
the Mississippi figures big in our country because it divides it.
Yeah.
East
Yeah.
from west, pretty much.
Mm-hmm.
But also, it was our main commerce line for a long time. Okay, that's how we were running stuff down
Yeah.
from the upper tier into the Gulf
Mm-hmm.
and shipping it out. So it was our economic lifeline, besides the geographical significance, and also a cultural divide, if you think about it.
Yeah, culturally, yeah.
Because you would have a more civilized eastern and industrial part of the United States, and then you would branch out into the west, which
Okay.
is more unsettled and more frontier. So it was developing,
Mm-hmm.
where a lot of things in the east had developed to a point that we still relate back to, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, our form of government came out of the eastern United States. And we were dispossessing other people, but that was predicted.
Mm-hmm.
Japheth shall dwell in the tents of Shem. No, that's exactly what that's about.
Mm-hmm. And so, have you ever been to New Orleans at all?
Oh, yeah.
Yes, I've never been there. When I was in my early 20s, I had a chance to go there and perform once, but the door never seemed to quite open. You know how sometimes a person will approach you and they'll come up with an idea?
Yeah.
but then it doesn't seem to materialize. So after a period of time, I just gave up on that idea. I guess it was not meant for me to go to New Orleans at that time to play.
No, I don't know.
I don't know.
Obviously, it didn't happen, so it wasn't meant to be.
Probably not.
But, well, I'm just stating the obvious. If you didn't go,
No, I didn't.
doesn't matter what it means.
Yeah, that's true.
No, New Orleans
Yeah.
is a great city. Great
That's
town.
what I hear. That's what I hear.
It's the most European of all our cities. It retains it's got a very unique architecture. It's a subculture unto itself, and probably what opened it more to the rest of the United States was Katrina, because a lot of us went down there and helped in the rebuild. I was down there. In a tent. Great experience. Actually, on the north side of Lake Pontchartrain, and which is interesting because you can tie Pontchartrain into Michigan, and how everything northern, one of the most northern parts of the United States, the French explorers used the Mississippi.
Yeah.
And they, were responsible in finding a lot of that, or naming it, let's put it this way, naming it. It had already been found. Naming it for our reference. And so there's a lot of history down there, and of course it's a fun town. They party over everything. Not that I'm into partying
I know.
all the time, but what I'm saying is they're just,
Disco's in that an era too. You know this song? Summertime. From the musical Porgy and Bess.
right. We are playing it a little bit different. See, if I don't... Okay, there we go.
I'll do it again.
Yeah.
I just like to try to make it sound very sleepy.
You mean it's hot and humid out?
It's
Kind of like the dog days of summer?
something like that. Yeah, summertime. Porgy and Bess. Great musical. But yeah, maybe one day I'll get a chance to visit New Orleans. Who knows? New Orleans, they call it.
Well,
I don't know.
who you are and where you are. What it's called.
Yeah, they have a lot of Dixieland jazz
sure,
there.
Sure.
And Al Hurt had a club called the Dan's Pier 600 at one time.
Yeah, do you remember Cotton Candy?
Yeah, I see. I think I do. That was one of those trumpet songs that he wrote. Oh gosh, if I think of it, I'll try to see if I can pick it out. Here's a song called Sugar Lips that he did. Now I'm just picking it out here, You remember this song?
Yeah.
Something like that. Something like that.
Pretty close.
Well, yeah, for just picking it out. But, yeah, I used to listen to Al Hirt when I was a kid.
Well, who did?
Everybody did. And he had some interesting songs like that Sugar Lips and the Cotton Candy you mentioned. And, oh, gosh, some of those other delightful songs that he did. I mean, he would do the serious stuff like Flight of the Bumblebee, the Green Hornet from the TV show and so on. But he did these little cute little... I call them cheesy bubblegum songs, but they were fun. They were fun to listen to.
Well, they're not cheesy bubblegum songs. What they are is they're kind of the lighter... I mean, Dixieland, think about the tempo and the beat of Dixieland. It's upbeat.
Yeah.
Okay? So his thing was... There you
go. Something like that, Java.
Right.
I don't know how to play that song.
It was upbeat, fast-moving.
Yeah.
It's normals.
Mm-hmm.
It's commerce.
Yeah.
Okay? Mixed with agriculture. See, they grew a lot of sugar down there.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And so the thing about the South is they reflect their environment. Well, just like we all do in the South, they reflect their environment. They reflect the environment.
Yeah, I think those songs that Al Hirt did reflects their environment too. When you say as far as that culture, the culture there.
Well, yeah, especially down around Bourbon Street and that area. Yeah, sure. I mean, I think he was still alive after Katrina, or at least right before.
Yeah.
Because I remember seeing him down there, and of course my timeline. And that's what I was going to say about rivers. Tend to at least remind me of history.
Mm-hmm.
Because there is so much history associated with rivers. You look at the Nile.
Yeah.
And the Amazon and commerce and the Mississippi here, the Danube, the Rhine. You know, you could just go on and on with it. And I think that's the meaning and the portent behind Old Man River.
Mm-hmm. This is Basin Street Blues.
Yeah.
Something like this.
Excuse me, folks, I've had a cold. So dealing with the remnants.
Yeah, something like that. Basin Street Blues, yeah.
Well, you're going to have to come up with a bluesy, jazzy kind of tune. And we can run the experiment they did in the Village and back in New York City in the 60s. And I can do some verse to it.
Well, let me see. Let's just go back to that Basin Street, not Basin Street, St. Louis Blues. You think you can do a poetry as I do these chords?
Well, what you want to do is you want to start out with a rhythm, a little bit more jazzy, okay?
Okay.
That's why I directed you towards Brubeck, because that's more the era and the feel of it.
Oh, yeah. How about the Girl from Ipanema? Would that work?
Well,
Probably not. You need real
because
jazz.
I'd be going, girl from me, yeah. But I see where you're going. You kind of got the idea, but you want the notes to be more punctuated and a little slower.
Okay. Let's see if I can think of any.
We sail in tattered ships on certain seas.
'Night in Tunisia. Trying to pick my way through that.
Well, but see, you don't want a lot of variation. What you want is almost like a bass line.
Okay, let's see.
Do that Here, go back to take 5 and do the Brubeck part. Don't worry about the Desmond. So.
Oh, you talking about the melody part? The melody of the song? I'm not even sure if these are the right chords.
Yeah, but that's kind of the rhythm of the song, too. No, don't do the melody.
Okay.
See, the idea is you start setting up a rhythm, okay? Because a lot of poetry is rhythm. Okay?
Well, this is about close approximate from where I remember that song.
Yeah, it's close. So that's good. So we take, a line, a couple like, we sail in tattered boats. Now keep it going, man. You can't stop.
Okay. I'll just keep doing this.
Okay. We sail in tattered boats on uncertain seas, looking for a country down on our knees. We have been banned from foreign land, and now we're all out on water with no quarter. The winds blow strict and right.
Okay.
I lost my family amidst the strife. I am lonely and vagrant as I am hit by the mist. These lips are parched and have not been kissed. I'm alone on the waves. And the history I remember is told by graves. So that's kind of...
I see what you mean.
Yeah, so, in other words, I came into the beat interjecting.
Yeah, you doing the poetry with the bass line. I got it. Maybe I can work up something one day.
So that's kind of the idea. That's what
I got that idea there.
I don't know what I said, so don't...
Well, that's the impromptu. That's the fun thing about this show. It's just an impromptu thing.
Yeah, well, I mean, that was the whole thing about what they were doing down in the village back then was it was all impromptu.
And I'm not really what you would call a jazz pianist because I was more classically trained.
Right.
Because when you train in jazz like bebop and stuff, that's a different technique than the traditional classical
techniques.
techniques.
Oh, sure. Yeah, I know.
Totally different,
What was funny, I overheard a conversation of people talking, and they were talking about Christian rock. And I thought to myself, there isn't Christian jazz, there isn't Christian classical, there isn't Christian baroque. It's only when you get to rock do they feel compelled to denote it as, well, it's Christian rock. And I wonder if it ever occurred to them that might be an oxymoron.
I don't know.
That the two don't fit, and that's why they feel the need to stipulate, hey, this rock and roll, because we're throwing the name Jesus into it, it's Christian rock now.
I don't know. I had to think on that. I don't know how to process that answer right here. Okay. That's something I have to think about.
All right. Well, it was impromptu, man.
Yeah, I know. I realize that. But speaking of Christian rock, I've heard some groups out there in the Christian world that kind of sound like rock music to me. They seem to have a purpose for it, reaching younger people, I guess.
Oh, it's a bunch of garbage.
You think so?
Sure, that's like saying, bottling beer and with Bible verses on it is reaching drunks.
I don't know. I see that's something I have to process, but I see what you're saying.
It just did.
Some people
you can't mix metaphors, man. It just doesn't work.
I guess for some people it might work. I mentioned once that I went to a church service where they actually had 3 services, and on the 3rd service, it wasn't no piano there or anything. They were rocking. It was like going to a literal rock concert, but they were putting Christian words in it, and there were a bunch of young people there, and I just watched and observed. And they got the message of the gospel and Christ out, but I guess with that kind of music, you can reach younger people with that than the traditional hymns that you and I might have grown up on.
Yeah, but the point is that See, you don't compromise. You don't degrade a message to reach a group.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
You try to make it relevant to them.
Mm-hmm.
But here's the thing, man. I mean, if you're going to accept Christ's truth, he's already made it relevant.
Yeah.
You're a sinner. You need salvation. You don't need to have it jazzed up. You don't need it. I mean, look, man,
I see what you're saying.
if you put verses on a stripper, would you be reaching perverts? I mean,
I don't know. I don't know how to answer that.
I mean, it's just, to me, that stuff, man, that's crazy.
I don't know.
That's confusion. See, you know why you can't answer? It's confusion.
Okay.
You're confusing things.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, remember what Scripture says? The carnal mind cannot receive the spiritual?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm familiar with that verse.
All right. So if you take something that is fleshy,
Mm-hmm.
like alcohol or burlesque sex shows or rock music, which is carnal, man. It's aimed at getting the body going and, jiving to the beat. The beat goes on. You can't put spiritual things in there.
I'll keep it in mind. I hadn't done it, but... Do you know this song by chance?
Sounds familiar. What is it? Well, it is familiar, but I'm bad at titles, man.
You make me feel brand new.
All right. I'll pick that up right there.
Yeah, you make me feel brand new. Yeah, that was a pretty love ballad in the 70s, I believe, when that song came out.
Who put it out? I forget.
I want to say Captain and Tennille, but don't quote me on that.
Nah, I don't think you're right there, man.
Yeah, I don't think so. It might have been, I don't know, Jeffrey Osborne or
I don't even
Peebo
know.
Bryson, some of those African American singers at the time.
Nah, it was a woman, I think.
Might have been. I don't really remember. I just remember the melody of the song, so. But it's a pretty song. Pretty chorus.
Okay, now what's that one?
Same song.
Okay, how are you doing it different? Or are you just...
I'm just doing the melody. That's the melody with the chords. And here's the conclusion. God bless you.
Okay, now I pick it up.
You make me feel brand new.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a beautiful ballad in that era.
Well, you talk about the 70s, probably two songs defined it,
Mm-hmm.
that decade. Hey Jude
Yeah.
and Bridge Over Troubled Water.
I don't know the second one, Bridge Over Troubled Water.
Simon and Garfunkel.
And I'm gonna jump right to the middle part.
This is actually the end.
Yeah.
Because they just carried it out.
Yeah, a little Hey Jude there. But yeah, they had some really interesting songs in that era in the 70s, and like that You Made Me Feel Brand New, and then we had the disco era. I don't think you think much of that either. I don't think very many people thought about the disco craze. That just kind of came and went, so.
Yeah, well, I think it was driven by cocaine.
I don't know. I wasn't
Well,
there.
I was there.
I wasn't there. I don't know. But, let's get it back to the river song. Let's do Old Man River real quick, and then we'll conclude this first part of the show. My version, anyway.
Nice.
Old Man River, but yeah, the film "Till the Clouds Roll By"
Right.
with a very young Sinatra in 1946. He sings that
Right. At the end.
at the end, yeah,
Yeah.
and that was amazing. Just holding that note. You remember that scene? He holds that
Yeah.
note at the end
Oh,
of
yeah.
that. Just amazing. It's like, how can any human being hold a note that long? He
was
just
able.
he was just able to do it.
And that cut, that scene, you know.
And that wasn't edited, that was real.
Yeah, I know. Just sent chills up and down my spine because I mean it's really powerful.
Yeah,
It is.
that's right. And that name of that movie, ladies and gentlemen, there's a movie called "Till the Clouds Roll By,"
Oh, As the
1946, or as the clouds roll by. I'm
Yeah.
sorry. And there's a very young Frank Sinatra singing "Old Man River" in that, so you should see that if you get a chance.
Yeah, there's a lot of different actors and actresses in that, isn't there?
Oh yeah, there was Dinah Shore was in that when she was a young woman.
It was
and-
kind of showcase. What was it showcasing at that?
It was based on the life of Jerome Kern, the
There you
composer.
go. Yeah,
that
right, yeah. The different songs he had written. Yeah.
yeah, so they had like all these famous people that were
Right,
doing
there you
certain
go,
songs. And very young Lena Horne was on that
Yep,
too, singing
Great
"Why Was
movie.
I Born?" Yeah,
Great movie, actually.
yeah, it was a fun movie. The only sad thing in there is when Kern's character, his mentor passes. When Kern's character was still learning to compose.
Right.
And he goes on to compose some great songs, so. But that's quite a film. In fact, I have a copy of that film at home. It's kind of an old generic version of it, not very clear, but at least I have it.
Yeah, you do.
Where I can at least hear the music more than see the picture. But that's quite a film, though, to see. And it's a shame they don't make movies like that anymore.
Well, we don't make a lot of things like that anymore
No.
in this country.
I think it's everywhere, not just the country, you know.
Well, this is what we're responsible for.
Oh, yeah, for us living here. I picked up this book today, 2015 wedding book. They've got some email addresses in here I'll probably send off to some hotels to see if I can get some future work planned for weddings and things like that.
Thought maybe you were planning on getting married.
Oh, no. I don't think so. Not yet, anyway. Who knows? Maybe.
Asaph, you never know when Miss Right might drop through the floor.
I know. I'm kind of dealing with that right now. We could talk about that on the second cafe if you want.
All right.
And this is part one of Asaph Cafe, our second season with my guest John Kramer, and we'll be back in a few minutes to finish where we left off about getting married and weddings and stuff. So we hope you've enjoyed this version of Asaph Cafe Part 1. We'll be doing Part 2 in a few minutes. So on behalf of John Kramer and myself, until our next show, Maranatha.